I'd just like to expand the scope of our conversation to an international scale. I was curious as to how Indian courts take inspiration from international law and proceedings before international courts. So, for example, with the South African interim measures application against Israel before the International Courts of Justice. Do Indian courts look at such instances of intervention as positive or guard against overreaching their mandate under local laws?
Throughout our history over the last 75 years, we have extensively looked at international conventions, including in particular conventions to which India is a party. So you would find a very repeated reference to the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. So we have never stopped short of looking at the emerging consensus in the international community while interpreting provisions of our own law. I'll give you just one example. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women was one of the key components of the decision of the Indian Supreme Court when we dealt with the protection of women against sexual harassment in the workplace, which eventually led Parliament to enact a law following a judgment of our court. So you would find in a whole host of areas we have relied on international treaties, conventions to which India is a party, and sometimes even those to which India is not a party. The other area where we have relied on comparative jurisprudence, including jurisprudence from the UK, is judicial precedent, which is not in that sense international law strictly speaking, but we are adopting principles of judicial interpretation followed by other jurisdictions, including the UK, Australia, South Africa, countries in our own neighborhood, including Bangladesh and Nepal, the United States. So we look at a diverse set of international precedents with a caveat though, which is that all precedent, particularly judicial precedent, is born out of the specific cultural traditions of each society. So it's not that you can, transplant a precedent just bodily and implement it in your own society.